The series begins with Pia, sitting with her mother Andrea, her brother Nick, his wife Sophie, and their children Michael and Ethan. The family is gathered to celebrate Andrea's birthday. Sophie gives Andrea a gift they all contributed to, but Pia gets upset when she sees it's a plant pot, as they had agreed on something else. Pia considers this a selfish act by Sophie, who changed the gift without telling her. At this point, Nick intervenes and he doesn't like what Pia is saying. Pia responds angrily, causing him to lose his temper and kick her out of the house. Pia leaves the house in a rage and goes to a nightclub. She dances and drinks a lot to forget what happened. Afterward, she goes to the bathroom where she uses a dating app, chooses a specific young man and gets to know him. When she's done, her phone falls into the toilet. She rushes back to her apartment and puts the phone in a bowl of rice to absorb the water and get it working again. The next day, Pia goes to the hospital where she works as a nurse. We see her helping a patient named Vince. They appear to be friends and we learn that Vince is a computer expert. He shows Pia videos he watches to pass the time. Pia is shocked when one of the videos shows her brother, Nick, holding a sign that says he assaulted and tortured a woman. He then holds up a second sign that says if the video gets 5 million views, he will die. It's clear that Nick has been beaten and tortured. Pia realizes that someone forced Nick to make this video. She becomes anxious and fears for her brother's life, unsure of what to do. However, she quickly composes herself and tries to call Nick from a hospital phone, but his phone is off. She then calls Sophie at the school where she works. The receptionist refuses to let her speak to Sophie without knowing the reason, so Pia ends the call. She goes to the gym where Nick works and meets his colleague Mike. Mike tells her that Nick didn't show up for work that day. Pia shows him the video. Mike is very worried and takes her to the manager Dawn to find out if Nick checked in for work. Dawn confirms Nick didn't come in, despite having an important meeting. Pia gets even more worried and leaves them to rush to Sophie's house. When Sophie sees the video, she is terrified and worried about her husband. She tells Pia that Nick left the house that morning, heading to work as usual. They decide to go report him missing to the police. On the way, they find out that Nick's video has reached 9,000 views, and the number is rapidly increasing. As soon as they arrive at the police station, they file a missing persons report and show the video to the officer. They are then met by a detective named Emery, who asks them many questions about Nick, focusing on the topic of torturing women. Sophie answers his questions calmly, telling him that Nick is a very peaceful person and would never harm anyone. Pia, however, is very nervous because she feels like she's seen Emery before but can't remember where. We learn that Emery is the young man Pia met on the dating app, but she doesn't remember him because she was drunk and not in her right mind. Oddly, Emery acts like he's meeting her for the first time. He asks her about her brother and his mental state. Pia tells him he's asking strange things and seems to have forgotten that with every passing moment, the video reaches more people, and her brother's life is in greater danger. Emery informs them that he will start an investigation immediately and will let them know of any updates. When Sophie and Pia return home, they discover that Michael and Ethan have seen the video and are terrified. Ethan then uses a specific application that could help them find Nick's location, but he can't get anything because Nick's phone is turned off. At that moment, Pia is shocked to see the video has reached 300,000 views. The comments are full of people accusing Nick of being a criminal who deserves to be punished. Pia then returns to her apartment and finds her phone is working again. She sees a voice message from Nick in which he apologizes for their argument the night before and says he wants to talk to her about something important. Pia quickly goes to her parents' house and talks to her mother without letting on that anything is wrong. She asks her if she spoke to Nick the night after the party, but Andrea says she didn't. At that moment, Pia gets a text message from Sophie asking her to come to the police station. There, Pia discovers that a new video of Nick has been posted on the channel. This time he is holding a paper that says he killed a woman. Detective Luca, Emery's partner, considers this an admission of guilt, meaning the case will be reclassified as a suicide. But Pia tells them that the handwriting is not Nick's and that if they check the other videos, they will discover the same thing. Pia insists that Nick is a victim, not a killer, and asks them to do something before the video reaches 5 million views and Nick dies. When Pia and Sophie leave the police station, Pia has Sophie listen to the voice message Nick sent. She asks her if she should show the message to the police, but Sophie tells her that they suspect Nick of having a tendency to torture women, and the message would only confirm their suspicions. It's better not to show it to them. As they are talking, a journalist calls Sophie wanting information about Nick. This angers Sophie and Pia, as it means the case will become a public spectacle and Nick's reputation will be ruined. The problem is that the video is spreading fast with views exceeding 1.5 million. Pia rushes to the hospital and begs Vince to find a way to locate her brother. He tells her that he found a website where people are solving crimes online. The people on the site sympathize with Nick and are trying to analyze the video to find his location and help him. Pia thanks him and asks him to let her know if he finds any information. She then goes to the family home and finds many journalists wanting to ask her about what happened. She yells at them and tells them to leave the house. Andrea is heartbroken and blames Pia for hiding what happened to her brother. Pia apologizes and tells her she didn't want to worry her, hoping the situation would be resolved quickly. When Pia returns to her apartment, she sees the news broadcasts talking about the video, which has now exceeded 3 million views. Then her friend Vince arrives with important information. He tells her that the people on the website discovered that the video was filmed inside a truck. They figured this out by noticing a transportation company's logo in the background of the video. Pia thanks him for his help and takes this evidence to the police. They start searching for the truck using street surveillance cameras. A little while later, Pia is terrified when she discovers the number of views has reached 5 million, which means Nick is dead, according to what he said in the video. At that moment, Emery and his colleagues inform her that they have located the truck. They all rush to the location, but when they arrive, they are surprised to find the truck empty. They search the area around them but don't find anything that could help them. They return to the police station, where Luca asks Emery to take Sophie home. Sophie is surprised by the large number of journalists waiting for her. Emery helps her get into the house. Many officers are searching the house, hoping to find any evidence that could help with the case. Ethan and Michael are worried and scared for Nick, but Sophie reassures them, saying they'll find him soon. Then Luca arrives and asks Nick's entire family to hand over their phones so they can search them and make sure none of them had anything to do with what happened to Nick. Although they object to being treated as suspects, they hand over their phones. Pia, however, tells them that she lost her phone. During the search, Pia goes outside and Emery follows her to talk. He asks her why she didn't reply to his messages. Pia remembers that she met Emery through the dating app. She apologizes and tells him that she was drunk and her phone fell into the water. She tells him that she heard that if a person is missing for more than 24 hours, the chances of them returning alive decrease by 50%. Emery confirms this is true. She asks him to tell her of any new developments in the case, but Emery tells her he's been removed from the investigation because he works in the missing persons department, and the case has now become a homicide case. He suggests that she submit a request to the police chief and ask for him to participate in the investigation, and he'll be able to help her. Pia is convinced by what he says and agrees. Then Emery goes inside the house and starts searching on his own. By chance, he sees Ethan in his room holding a tablet. He learns that it's Nick's tablet and that no one is currently using it. Emery asks him to take it as he might find something important that could help with the case. But Ethan tells him he needs it to keep track of the search for his father. Ethan explains that his father's case has become a public issue, so much so that people in the city created a special app to help search for him. Emery learns that the app is a map of places where Nick might be, based on tracking the truck's movements in the video. Every time someone searches a location, they mark it in red on the map. This catches Emery's attention, so he takes the tablet from Ethan and goes to show the app to the police chief. The police chief tells him that she doesn't want civilians involved in the case. Emery shows her Ethan's notes, where he talks about a big fight between his father and mother. The police chief suspects that Sophie might have had a hand in Nick's disappearance and tells him that she will place her under surveillance until she can be sure. Then Emery leaves the police chief's office and searches the map for places that have not yet been marked in red. He goes to one of them and sees two young men searching the area. He learns from them that they haven't found anything new. The next day, Emery meets Pia in his car. She has him listen to the voice message Nick sent before he disappeared. Emery gets upset and blames her for not letting him hear the message sooner. He asks her about the important topic Nick wanted to talk about, but Pia says she doesn't know. Then Emery goes to work and joins the investigation team. They find Nick's bicycle on a road on the outskirts of the city. A search team moves and looks around the area until they find an empty syringe. They figure out that the criminal injected Nick with a drug before kidnapping him. Then Emery goes and meets Sophie and tells her that they found Nick's bicycle. He asks her if she and Nick had any marital problems before he disappeared. Sophie seems uncomfortable with the question and tells him that their married life has nothing to do with Nick's disappearance. Emery begins to suspect her and asks her if she knows where her husband is. Sophie gets upset and refuses to continue talking to him. She leaves. Then Emery goes to Pia's apartment and tells her that they found Nick's bicycle on the road. He asks her about the fight she had with Nick. She tells him that her relationship with her brother is good, but she noticed that his treatment of her had changed in recent months. She also told him that one day Nick came to the hospital with many bruises on his body and asked her not to tell Sophie anything. Emery records the date. As they are talking, the app shows that people have found Nick's body. They rush to the location. There, they find many people filming the body with their phones, but when they get closer to the body, they discover that it's a doll with a mask that looks like Nick's face. It seems like someone is just playing a prank. Pia is heartbroken, but Emery calms her down and takes her home. When Emery returns home, he checks the app to find Nick's location before he went to the hospital. He discovers that Nick was out drinking at a pub. The next day he goes there and reviews the security camera footage. Emery sees a man attacking Nick and hitting him. He calls Pia and shows her the video, asking her if she knows the person who hit her brother, but Pia says she doesn't know him. Then Emery shows Luca the map and points out the locations people have searched. He asks him to search behind them as he's sure they'll find Nick's location. Luca is convinced by what he says and takes a police force to search the locations Emery pointed out. At that moment, Emery gets a notification on the app that a group of young men have found Nick's body. He rushes to the location, chases away the young men there, and is shocked to find Nick's body lying in an area near a river. When Pia hears the news, she breaks down and cries because of her brother's death. The next day, Emery's colleagues congratulate him because he was able to find Nick's body. Then Emery starts looking into Sophie again because he still suspects her. By chance he sees a picture of her with the person who hit Nick at the pub. Sophie is summoned to the police station. When Emery tells her the news of her husband's death, she is shocked and asks him how he died. Luca replies that they found him with a blow to the head. Tears stream down her eyes and she asks them if they've found the killer. Here he shows her the video of Nick's fight at the pub, and Emery asks her if she knows the man who is hitting Nick. Sophie denies knowing him, but Emery shows her the picture of her with the man and tells her that he is the main suspect in the case and might have killed Nick. Sophie gets nervous and tells him the man's name is Curdy and that he was her colleague at school before he left 6 months ago. Emery asks her if there was any reason for Curdy to fight with Nick. Sophie denies and says she doesn't know anything. It seems that Emery and Luca suspect Sophie because she first denied knowing Curdy, but there is no strong evidence to accuse her. When Sophie returns home, she tells her children that their father has died. Ethan breaks down and goes to his room. Michael tells his mother, crying, that he will avenge his father's death. A little while later, Sophie talks to her mother and tells her that she said in the interrogation that Curdy was her colleague. We learn at this point that Sophie was cheating on Nick with Curdy. She's scared that Curdy is the one who killed Nick. Her mother advises her not to say anything about her relationship with Curdy at all because the police will consider her an accomplice in the crime, and people will ruin her reputation. Suddenly Pia enters looking nervous. She tells Sophie that she tried to see her brother's body, but the police refused because she wants to make sure that the body is indeed Nick's. Sophie tells her that they showed her pictures of the body and that Nick is truly dead. Pia is saddened and says that she'll stay the night at her house. Then Sophie decides to go to Curdy's house. There she gets into a fight with him and asks him why he went and hit Nick at the pub. He tells her that Nick was the one who called him and asked to meet. When he went to him, he found him asking him to tell him what happened between him and Sophie in detail. Curdy says that Nick was the one who attacked him and hit him first, but Sophie says he's lying because the police showed her the video. She lets him know that he was the one who attacked and hit Nick. It seems at this point that Sophie suspects Curdy is the one who killed Nick. At that moment someone knocks on the door. When Curdy opens it, he finds the police in front of him. It turns out that they were watching Sophie, and they suspected her after she lied to them in the interrogation. Sophie and Curdy are arrested on suspicion of killing Nick and are taken to the police station. During the interrogation, Sophie admits that she was in a relationship with Curdy. She recalls an old memory with him from their anniversary celebration. It seems that they were happy and everyone envied them for the happiness they were living. But during the party, Curdy sends a message to Sophie, saying that he can't stop thinking about her. Sophie gets nervous and decides after the party to be honest with Nick about her relationship with Curdy. Nick gets angry when he finds out that Sophie cheated on him with Curdy for 3 months. Sophie snaps out of her memories and says in the interrogation that she went to Curdy to make sure he wasn't the one who killed her husband. Emery tells her that if it's proven that Curdy is the one who killed Nick, she will have to testify in court about her relationship with Curdy and her cheating on her husband. The next day, Sophie sees her son Ethan watching a video of Curdy's arrest. Sophie tries to stop him from watching the video, but Pia objects to her behavior and talks to her alone. She asks her if she's hiding anything from them. Sophie admits that she was in a relationship with Curdy. Pia is shocked and tells her that if Curdy is the one who killed Nick, it will be her fault. When Pia leaves the room, she discovers that Ethan was standing behind the door and heard everything his mother said. He's so shocked that he leaves the house. Sophie goes after him to catch him and searches for him in all the places he might go, but it's no use. At that moment, Sophie discovers that a woman is following her. She remembers that she saw this woman in front of the house before, among the journalists. She goes to her and asks her why she is following her. The woman introduces herself and says her name is Emma. She tells her that she was in a relationship with Nick. She tells her that she met Nick through a dating app, where he had a fake profile with a pseudonym. At first, Sophie doesn't believe Emma's words, but when Emma tells her the time she met Nick, she starts to believe her because that was the time Nick discovered Sophie's cheating. What makes Sophie believe her more is that Emma lives in Los Angeles, the state where Nick always traveled for work. Here, Sophie loses her temper, fights with Emma, and leaves her devastated. After that, Pia calls her and tells her that Ethan is at her apartment, so she goes there quickly. It's clear that Ethan doesn't want to go home with his mother, but Pia convinces him to return home because his mother and brother need him. When Ethan leaves, Sophie talks to Pia and tells her about Emma. Pia opens the dating app and searches for the pseudonym Nick used on the app. She finds his account, but it's not active. Here, Pia tells Sophie that she will inform her friend Vince and have him look into the account to make sure whether Emma is lying or telling the truth. After that, Sophie returns home and is shocked when she sees the news on TV reporting on Kurtie's arrest and rumors that she was cheating on her husband. Sophie breaks down because of the scandal, but her mother hugs her and comforts her. The next day, they all go to the gym to attend the farewell party organized by Nick's colleagues at work. There, Sophie learns from Emery that they released Kurtie because they found evidence that he had nothing to do with Nick's murder. This means that someone else killed Nick and they will start searching for the killer again. At that moment, they arrive at the party, and Sophie gets nervous from the people's stares. She feels that they suspect she had a hand in killing her husband. Then Dawn, the gym manager, comes and greets her and tells her that she is very sad about Nick's death. Then Matt, Nick's colleague, stands up and delivers an emotional eulogy for Nick. Here, Sophie can't take it and gets up from her seat, crying. But one of the people present insults her and says that she is the reason for her husband's death. Sophie gets angry, throws water on her and breaks down in tears. But Pia goes to her, calms her down and takes her away from the party. At home, Pia shows Sophie Nick's profile on the dating app after Vince managed to hack it. Sophie breaks down when she sees Nick's pictures on the app and confirms that he was cheating on her with Emma. The next day, Emma meets Emery and tells him about her relationship with Nick, hoping to help them with the case. She tells him that Nick used to send her gifts all the time at her office. After that, she learns about his disappearance on the news, so she decides to be close to his family to share in their grief and at the same time, try to find out who killed Nick. On the day she arrives at the house, she meets a journalist named Ben, who thinks she's a journalist like him. He gives her his card so they can work together. After that, Emma talks about her meeting with Sophie and what happened between them. Emery asks her about Nick's behavior towards her. She says that Nick is a well-mannered person and would never harm a woman as it appeared in the video. When Pia learns about Emma, she goes to the hotel where she is staying. Pia thinks that the relationship between Emma and Nick was superficial and doesn't give her the right to come to his house and meet his wife. Emma tells her that she and Nick had agreed to get married and that Nick intended to divorce his wife Sophie after his son graduated from high school. Pia is surprised when she learns that Nick talked about their childhood days together. When Pia hears this, she is sure that Nick and Emma were in love, so she gives her her phone number and asks her to stay in touch. At night, Emma gets a call from an unknown person who threatens her that she must leave the city and leave Nick's family alone. Emma is scared by the call and decides to leave. As she is walking, she sends a voice message to Pia and tells her what happened. She gets in her car to leave the city and escape, but she is surprised that a car is following her. The car keeps getting closer until it hits her and causes her to have an accident. After that, Emma is taken to the hospital. Emery and Pia go to check on her. Emery says at that point that the person who killed Nick knows her well and probably hit her with the car. After they leave Emma, Pia is surprised when she learns from Emery that Nick has 3 accounts on 3 different dating websites and that he gets to know many women through them. After he ends his relationship with them, he closes the profile. Pia returns to Emma and tells her what happened. She tells her that Nick knew a girl named Mandy who works as a painter. Emma gets upset when she hears this and decides to go to Mandy and find out the nature of her relationship with Nick. At that point, Emma is shocked when she learns that Nick was saying the same things to them and acting in the same way. The only difference is that Mandy didn't believe Nick's words and ended her relationship with him. Emma discovers that Mandy painted a picture of Nick at the beginning of their relationship, so Emma takes it and burns it as revenge for his cheating. After that, she calls Ben and tells him what happened. Ben takes the opportunity and records an interview with her. During the interview, Emma says that Nick emotionally exploited her, which means that the things Nick wrote about himself in the video were true. Ben is happy with the interview, but his boss asks him to try to reach the rest of the women Nick knew. Ben decides to go to Nick's house and pretends to be a delivery man. He records everything in the house with his phone, but Pia and Sophie see him and threaten to report him to the police. He tells them what Emma said in the interview and offers to interview Sophie so she can respond to what Emma said, but Sophie refuses and asks him to leave the house immediately. He gives her his phone number so she can call him if she changes her mind. After that, Pia meets Emery and tells him about the interview Emma did. Pia wants to stop the interview before the channel airs it, but Emery tells her that the police can't do that because there is no law that prevents journalistic interviews of this kind. He tells her that the interview will help them catch the criminal. At night, Ben is reviewing the comments on Nick's video. A comment from a girl named Jenny catches his attention. She attacks everyone who defends Nick and says that they are criminals like him. Ben learns that Jenny trains at the gym where Nick works. The next day he goes to meet her and asks her if she had any problems with Nick. Jenny says that she heard her colleague Tara fighting with Nick before. It was clear from their conversation that Nick deceived her and made her believe that he loved her, but then he cut off his relationship with her, which made her depressed and she left the team. Ben goes to the restaurant where Tara works and asks her about her fight with Nick, but Tara refuses to answer him and says that it's not important. After that, Ben returns to the office and is surprised to find Sophie in the channel manager's office. We learn that Sophie wants to sue because Ben trespassed on her house, but the channel manager offers to do a TV interview with her. She tells her that she will air this interview before Emma's interview, and this way she will gain people's sympathy, and no one will believe anything Emma says afterward. Sophie is convinced by what she says and agrees. Ben is happy with what happened because he thinks that he will be the one to interview Sophie, but the channel manager tells him that he is removed because he trespassed on Sophie's house. Ben gets upset and returns home. He keeps looking into Nick until he discovers that Nick has a profile on a dating website with the name Jeremy. Ben manages to hack the profile and discovers that Nick is in a relationship with a girl named Sarah. When he looks into her, he sees a picture of her in a library. He goes to the library and asks about her. He is shocked when he learns that Sarah died 4 months ago. He searches for more information about Sarah and learns that she has a brother named Simon. He decides to go meet him to learn more about her. But when he knocks on the door, no one answers. By chance, he finds the apartment key under the doormat in front of the door. He opens the door and goes in. He searches inside the apartment until he finds a box under the bed with Sarah's belongings, including her phone. At the same time, his colleague, who is waiting for him in the car, calls him and warns him, saying that Sarah's brother Simon is coming to the apartment. Ben hides until Simon enters and sits down to smoke. Ben takes this opportunity and leaves the apartment quickly, but Simon hears the sound of the door and runs after him, chasing him. Ben gets in the car with his colleague and they escape before Simon can catch them. When Ben returns to his apartment, he manages to open Sarah's phone and searches for information about her. He finds the messages between her and Nick. It appears from the messages that Sarah has a mental illness and that when she met Nick, she felt that her life became better, and her condition improved. But she was shocked when Nick decided to cut off his relationship with her, to the point that she threatens him that she will harm herself. Nick replies to her with indifference and cuts off his relationship with her. Here Ben understands that Sarah harmed herself because of Nick. The next day he takes these messages to the channel manager and asks her to let him do the interview with Sophie. The channel manager agrees because this news will cause a huge media uproar. The day of the interview arrives. The conversation is calm and going well until Ben confronts Sophie with Nick and Sarah's messages. He tells her that Nick is the reason for Sarah's death after he manipulated her feelings and abandoned her. Sophie is shocked and gets so angry that she ends the interview and leaves. When Sophie returns home, she discovers that the channel is airing the interview, but the messages between Nick and Sarah appear as voice messages. We learn here that Ben used artificial intelligence to do this in order to expose Nick and show him for who he really is in front of people. At that moment, Simon sees what's happening on TV and looks upset and angry. We go back in time to the day Simon discovers that she is talking to Nick on dating websites. Simon warns her about the danger of these websites, but over time, Simon notices that Sarah is happy with her relationship with Nick and that her condition has improved and she has started to live her life normally. After a while, Simon is surprised that Sarah's condition has worsened again. When he asks her, he learns that Nick cut off his relationship with her. After that, Simon is at work with his friend Daryl. Suddenly he gets a call from Sarah, who is crying uncontrollably. She apologizes to him and asks him to forgive her. Simon is scared and goes home quickly, but he is shocked when he enters her room and finds her dead. In the present, we see Emery visiting Simon at his work and asking him if his sister told him anything about her relationship with Nick, but Simon lies and says that she didn't say anything about him. Emery asks him where he was on the day Nick disappeared. He says that he was fishing with his colleague Daryl. As soon as Emery leaves, Simon sends messages to Daryl and tells him not to answer any strange numbers that will call him. He informs him that the detective took his phone number to ask him about Sarah. We go to Pia, who discovers that the picture of Nick that was hanging on the wall is in a box. She learns that Sophie was the one who did this. Pia takes her aside and tells her that the messages that were aired don't sound like Nick's way of talking, but Sophie tells her that she should accept the truth instead of denying it. Pia gets upset and takes Nick's picture and leaves. We return to Simon, who is sitting Daryl down and making him memorize the answers he should give to the police when they interrogate him. It appears that Daryl is scared and tells Simon that he won't be able to do this. It's clear that Simon and Daryl have a big secret. At that moment, Simon is surprised when he finds Daryl is so nervous. If the police summon and interrogate him, their secret will be exposed easily. So he agrees with him that they should escape from the city. The next day, Simon has his bag and is about to leave, but he finds Emery in front of him. Emery asks him to get in his car and follow him to the police station for interrogation. Simon agrees and gets in his car and follows him. But suddenly he reverses the car and gets out, running. Emery runs after him. After a long chase, he manages to arrest him. At the police station, Emery tells Simon that they arrested Daryl and that he confessed to everything. Simon tells him that he was going to confess but only in front of Pia, Nick's sister. When Pia arrives, Simon apologizes to her and tells her that Nick is not the reason for what happened to his sister. He tells her everything that happened. We go back in time and learn that after Sarah died, Simon decided to look for Nick to take revenge on him. He found out that he works as a physical therapist at the gym. He and Daryl waited for him on the road on his way to work. As soon as he appeared, they attacked him, injected him with a sedative and kidnapped him. When Nick wakes up, he finds himself tied up inside a truck. Simon confronts him with what he did to his sister. Nick is shocked and tells him that he doesn't know his sister and never talked to her at all, but Simon hits him and forces him to film the videos that were posted. After that, Nick asks Simon if he has any evidence to prove that he is the reason for what happened to his sister. Simon shows him his account on the dating website. Nick is shocked and tells him that this account is not his and that he has never cheated on his wife with any other woman. But Simon shows him a picture of him with Sarah. Nick says that the picture is fake and that he doesn't know anything about it. He tells him that the real picture is the one he took with his wife. He tells him that he feels the pain he's in because his father harmed himself and died when he was still young. He tells him that he and his sister Pia suffered a lot because of this and that it's impossible for him to be the reason for anyone to suffer like they did. He asks him to look closely at the picture, and he will confirm that it's photoshopped. At that moment, Daryl takes Simon to talk outside the car and tells him that the video has already reached 5 million views, and they have to finish Nick. At that moment, Nick sees a sharp object close to him, so he uses it and manages to free himself and escape. But Simon runs after him and catches up with him. At that point, Nick tells him that he knows who did this to his sister because there is only one person who can access his personal pictures. He begs him to let him go and promises him that he won't go home before he hands this person over to the police to be punished for what she did to Sarah. It appears here that Simon believes Nick's words, and that's why he lets him go. In the present, Pia believes Simon's words, but Emery thinks that Simon is lying to save himself from the case. After that, Pia tells her family that Simon told her that he didn't kill Nick and says that she believes him and that someone used Nick's pictures to trap him. After that, Ethan is sitting in his room and watching a video of Mandy and the journalists asking her about her relationship with Nick, and she refuses to answer. Ethan takes the opportunity and sends her a voice message, asking her if she met his father during their relationship. The next day he gets an email from Mandy in which she tells him that she never met Nick at all. He goes and shows this email to Pia. At that point, Pia is sure that Nick is innocent. She takes Ethan and they go to Emery and tell him what Mandy said, but Emery tells her that they are about to close the case. Ethan gets upset and refuses to give up. He goes and meets a friend of his named Allison and tells her everything that happened. She advises him to talk to Emma to confirm his father's innocence. Ethan listens to what she says and calls Emma. He asks her if she saw or met his father during their relationship. She tells him that she talked to Nick every day but never saw him. At that point, Ethan and Allison are very happy with what they heard. After that, Emma sends Ethan the pictures Nick sent her. Ethan asks Allison to track the source of these pictures and find out who sent them. When Ethan returns home, he is shocked that Sophie has decided to take them and leave the city. Michael gets upset and leaves them. At that point, Ethan shows Sophie Mandy's email and Emma's messages to let her know that his father wasn't cheating on her. He tells her that he will soon find out who is behind all of this. Michael hears this and goes to Ethan's room quickly and looks at the computer because he wants to participate in what's happening and find out who is the reason for his father's death. By chance, Allison sends a message to Ethan and tells him the address of the person who sent the pictures to Emma. At bedtime, Sophie enters Michael's room to check on him as usual, but she is shocked to find that he jumped out of the window and left the house. When Ethan finds out, he goes to the computer to track Michael's phone. As soon as he sees Allison's message, he understands that Michael saw it. Ethan tells his mother that he knows where his brother went. Sophie quickly calls Pia and tells her what happened. Pia is scared and tells her that she will come and bring the police with her. At that moment, Michael is holding a baseball bat and is on his way to the address he saw in the message. Ethan and Sophie call him, but he doesn't answer. When he arrives at the address, he discovers that the house is Dawn, the gym manager's house. He gets nervous and feels that something is wrong. As soon as Dawn sees him, she asks him about the reason for his visit. He tells her that he is looking for the person who killed his father but that he got the address wrong. Dawn takes him in to make him some food and then have her husband Ed drive him home. During dinner, Ed gets up to get the car key. Dawn goes after him and sees him taking out a gun, planning to kill Michael. Ed blames her and tells her that all of this is because of her actions. We go back in time 2 years and are on Nick's first day at the gym. Dawn asks Nick to enter his information into the gym system, but Nick tells her that he's not good with these things. He gives her his internet account and password and tells her to enter his information herself. He leaves because he has an important meeting. At that point, Dawn is shocked when she discovers that Nick has an account on dating websites. He gets a message from Mandy who wants to get to know him. At first, Dawn ignores the message. When she returns home, she finds her husband distant from her as usual and feels a great boredom in her life, so she decides to open Nick's email and get to know Mandy and send her pictures of Nick. From that moment on, Dawn likes the idea and gets to know many girls including Emma and Sarah. She keeps editing Nick's pictures and sending them to them or putting them on his accounts until one day, Ed discovers what she's doing. He gets into a fight with her and tells her that she's sick and needs to be treated. He leaves her and goes. On that day, Dawn gets angry and talks to Sarah in a bad way and ends her relationship with her. This is the reason why Sarah harmed herself. After a while, on the day Nick escaped from Simon, Dawn is surprised that Nick is coming to her house. He gets into a fight with her and tells her that Sarah died because of her. He informs her that he discovered what she's doing because she is the only one who has the password to his accounts. He also informs her that he's going to report her to the police and have her put in jail. But suddenly, Ed comes from behind and hits him on the head and kills him. In the present, Dawn and Ed are taking Michael in the car, pretending that they're taking him home. Michael is surprised that they are taking a deserted road. He gets worried and asks them why they are on this road. Ed tells him that it's a shortcut and will get them there faster, but Michael doesn't believe him. He takes out his phone to call one of his family members. Dawn sees him, takes the phone from him and throws it out of the car. After that, they take him to their house outside the city limits. There, Ed ties him up until he figures out what to do with him. At that point, Dawn begs Ed not to kill him and says that what happened is enough. She tells him that she will confess to the police that she impersonated Nick online, which is a simple crime, and the punishment is not severe. As for Nick's murder, no one will know that he killed him because no one knows that Nick came to their house at all. At that moment, Michael hears their conversation and manages to free himself and escape from them. Ed runs after him to kill him, especially after he heard their conversation. Dawn runs after her husband and begs him not to kill Michael, but Ed doesn't listen to her and continues on his way. At that moment, Emma and Sophie arrive at Dawn's place. They have Emery and a large police force with them. Dawn is arrested and confesses to what she did. She goes with them on the same road Ed took. There they find Ed holding Michael and threatening to kill him. Dawn talks to him and tells him to let him go and that what they did to his family is enough. Ed is convinced by what she says and lets him go back to his family, but Ed refuses to surrender to the police and decides to harm himself. He raises his weapon at the police and without hesitation they shoot him and kill him. Dawn breaks down and runs to Ed crying. She keeps apologizing to him and says that she is the reason for his death. After a few days, Nick's funeral takes place. Sophie is heartbroken and keeps crying. Pia comforts her and tells her that she will stay by her side and won't leave her until they overcome their grief and live their lives normally.